The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Hello, welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip
And I'm CJ.
with his boot. And CJ's
With my
adjusting,
boot, yes.
is adjusting his mic again. His boot is famous on Facebook.
Yeah, well, it's a little difficult today doing a live show when you can't move too much in here, so.
Well, yeah, we'll get it done because we have just so much to talk about. I don't know
Way
where to
too much.
begin. I don't know where to begin.
Well, let's see. I want to start out with Chuck Gregory's recent comment about the people of the recall. And I find it offensive and very unprofessional. Chuck Gregory made the comment that if this recall is successful, it is akin to the rising of the Nazi Party in Germany. Besides being inaccurate, this is the second time those participants in the entire recall process have been related to either as Nazis or in some case anti-Semites. So I find it very interesting that again, the people of Fall River can't exercise their constitutional rights and they can't exercise their legal rights to enact a recall because again, it's just bad government.
Well, it's ironic that they, I think people get a little, they get a little too thin-skinned about some of these labels that are put on, especially when we talk about Nazis. Whether you agree or disagree, it was a political movement. It was fascism. There have been many books about the rise of fascism and the reasons for that. It doesn't compare. It's not the same. But, the Flanagan camp and the Flanagan supporters love to create situations where they whine and cry about how unfair it is for the people to have a voice in government. On Facebook yesterday, on the new local news, supposedly, I read how it's not fair that 5% of the people should control what happens in the city. Well, number one, let's get the facts straight. It wasn't 5% of the people, it was over 10% of the people. Because it would 2465 would have been 5%, and we got well over 5,500 signatures, which is more than double. So we had about 12%, or maybe more. I'd have to do it on my calculator, but it's irrelevant. What is relevant is that we had over 10% of the people that signed that petition in 21 days, which, ironically enough, is what was the last election? What was the voter turnout? 17%? We've had elections where 12% of the people have turned out. So let's just get the facts straight. One of the problems with Fall River is that the people don't speak. We have 49,000 registered voters, and most of the time, we have somewhere in the vicinity of 15% or so that is speaking. So there's never been, according to what their litmus test of an accurate election is, we've never had an election that actually really reflected the will of the people. Because in order to do that, we'd have to have the majority of voters vote. And I can't remember the last election where we had more than a 50% turnout.
I don't think we've ever had one in a very long time.
You're right. And this is the whole key. The thing is, I'm so tired of the Willie whining. Willie loves to whine, and all his Willy Wonkers love to whine too. They're always crying. It's not fair. Oh, poor me. They picked on me. 5%, 5%. Well, it wasn't 5%. Do your math. Maybe that's why the city's so screwed up, CJ. They don't know how to do basic math. That's why the budget's so screwed up.
They don't teach basic math anymore in school. They teach this new Common Core math. But, it's interesting, too, because the city has a population of approximately 90,000 people. It's 88 and change. 49,000 registered voters. A little over half, just about half. And of those, on a good election, they're excited because 12%, 15 or 12 to 15% comes out and vote. So we have 12,000 voters who come out and say, "Yay, I'm a voter." You shouldn't be broadcasting that. You should be hiding that fact. But again, I got 70% of the vote. I got 70% of the vote of the people of Fall River. And no, you didn't. You got 70% of the people who showed up. And WCVB and I believe it was Boston University have already done a poll on this. And because of the division that has been created in Fall River, the mayor will be recalled in the recall portion, and they firmly believe that. I don't have the exact number off the top of my head right now, but he can be reelected with as little as 18% of the vote showing, because we have 8 candidates. So look at those numbers.
Well, what we have to also look at is, let's do some basic math. And, I came from an era where they actually taught you how to do math in your head. So let's say we'll use nice round numbers because they're easy. He says he continues to say he got 70% of the vote, which I think is actually 69 point something or other. He rounded up, which he always does. But, okay, Will, just so you know, you actually got 10.5% of the vote, because 70% of 15% of the voters is actually 10.5%. So don't say you got 70%. You got 10.5%, because that's the reality. The number of votes that you got comprised 10.5% of the voters, which means that almost 90%, or 89.5% of the voters, didn't vote for you. Either they voted for your opponent, or they voted for neither candidate, which shows either apathy or total disgust for who was available. So let's put that in perspective and stop your whining. I look forward to seeing your debate, and that will bring me to another subject. Our debate, which has been branded, I'm not saying called, branded as the recallers debate. Well, okay, I'll admit it, I'm a recaller. But it's not the recallers debate. It's the debate. It's a debate. Every candidate, including the mayor, is welcome there. And to my knowledge, he will be there. He said he's looking forward to being there. And I'm looking forward to seeing him. And it will be a fair debate. CJ has posted online how the questions will be looked at. We will allow no questions that attempt to disparage any candidate. They will be issue-oriented questions. It will be a debate based on the problems of Fall River and how the candidates plan to address the perceived problems and move this city forward. And, I take a little exception to attempting to disparage the debate itself by branding it like it and say it is skewed toward recall or quote recall candidates, which it is not. It is a debate, and every question will be asked to every candidate that appears, and they will all get an opportunity, the same amount of time, to answer every single question. And we will not allow, every question will be vetted, we will not allow any questions that are not pursuant to the election and the condition of the city.
Well, that's very true, Chip, and this is what we're calling it. And I think it's going to be very interesting to see how people receive it. That's actually the logo of the People's Debate, and that is what it's being called. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And, I know some people have been a little upset about the fact that, Spindle City Straight Talk was covering it. And I took umbrage, a big word, a lot of people won't understand, when the Herald News did the article about the debates, and it was the Herald News debate, it was the WSAR debate, and then it was the recallers debate. And I had a long conversation with Lynn Sullivan, and we ended up coming to the point where we agreed to disagree, because she says, well, you're a recaller, Chip's a recaller, You guys are putting it on. And I said, no. I said, let's get this right. I said, number one, Chip was the spokesperson of the recaller. I said, I acted as a political consultant, not that I in any way want to minimize the work that I did. I said, but I certified the affidavits. I said, I'm not part of what they call the Dirty Dozen, so let's be real. I said, and to be very honest, I am a reputable member of the press, and I don't appreciate this. And she goes, well, we'll just have to agree to disagree. And I'm like, whatever. There's just times you can't win. You know that, Chip.
Well, obviously, it's kind of projection. They're trying to protect themselves, because if we want to put labels on everything, you can. But let's look at what the debate is. Is the debate going to be fair? Yes. We don't have local people. We have people from the media, people from outside the city involved in this debate who have absolutely no interest personally in this election.
Well, I think that was one of the most important things, and people don't understand this about the debate, is that everything is by lottery. And of course, you're not going to please everyone. But the moderator has been chosen. The moderator is Phil Paleologos from WBSM, also known from Shawmut Diner prior to its closure. And Phil is actually very excited to come and do this debate and act as its moderator. And he asked for clarification on the pronunciation of some names. So I think it's very interesting. Phil's a great guy, very funny. And again, has no political interest in Fall River, no anything here. So somebody who's very neutral. Our 3 reporters are currently in the lottery system. We're giving them a couple more days to have other reporters be put in. And what's happening is they're all being put in, and the names are being drawn at random. And then that's who will be your 3 panelists will be. And it's the same for the questions asked by the citizens. Any citizen in the city can ask a question of the candidates. The candidates are generic in nature in that they go out to all the candidates. So it'll be the one question to be asked to all the candidates. The questions will be chosen at lottery. They will be vetted by both you and I and members of the panel. Any questions which come out in favor or opposed to any candidate will be dismissed. So if you have a question on what is your plan to meet minimum school spending and increase it, that's fine. If you have, how are you going to support the fire department? How is your plan going to be different? Anything along those lines. But if you turn around and say, well, XYZ candidate did this, this, and this, and, how would you do it different? That's going to be discharged. It's not acceptable. There will be no attacks. There'll be no statements. Questions can be sent to debate@scstonline.com. You must include your name and address when you submit them. Your question will be read by the moderator to the candidates. And the candidates will be given ample time to ask the question. I should say ample. Because of the number of candidates, we will give them a set amount of time to answer that question. We're still fielding that out. I can say with absolute certainty that so far there has only been one candidate who has not confirmed their attendance. All the other candidates have confirmed their attendance. I know it was a tough date for some people. City council meetings held on the same day. And as a matter of fact, broadcasting this live was going to be a little bit difficult too. But we worked together. I think what's really great is this was a challenge that was put to me. And then all of a sudden, within 12 hours, we had a debate. So when you put your mind to it, Chip, you and I know we can get anything done when we put our mind to it.
Yeah, kudos. And with that, I have to say, I know that, there's been a lot of talk about the date. Well, let me make it clear again that we had no choice. Obviously, we have a very short window. There are 2 other debates, too, that are being framed within our debate. And this is the date, this and a date that was too close to the election, were the only 2 dates that we were offered. And we have a good venue, and we have an opportunity to put on what I feel is a really, really good debate. We have people from outside the community, not local people who may have an interest. I mean, if we want to put labels on it, a Herald News, we can say, well, the Herald News is driven more by who spends more for advertising in a political campaign. If the WSAR debate can say, well, one of the candidates' campaign managers works for the station or used to work for the station and took a leave of absence. So, if we want to go there, they have, and so now they want to call us recallers. Well, I don't care if the campaign manager worked at WSAR, and I don't care that the Herald News gets money from candidates for advertisement. That's their business. But what I want to see is a fair debate, a debate that's on issues, that doesn't allow, questions to go places where they shouldn't. Just as the recall was a referendum on the performance of Will Flanagan as mayor, a debate should be on issues. It should not be on. Personal relationships, on anything, personal opinions. It should be about real issues, and I encourage everybody to put very specific and very pointed questions to the people. And the reason that we're having the debate is we feel that, hey, like CJ said, people go, oh, if you're not happy with the way some debate forums run, why don't you run your own? So we are. And this will be the first time we did it. And I think that it's going to be a good debate. And I think that it's going to only get better. This will be the first of many debates, I believe. I think that this may become a regular thing during elections, because I think it's really healthy to have a debate format that, number one, brings people that don't have a vested interest in the community or don't have personal relationships with certain people, try to bring people in from the outside who are also knowledgeable as reporters, and do it to make it a debate that can be said, well, okay, these people are going to answer some questions, and we can really find out about these candidates, because it will be about the election and not about anything else.
Well, it's interesting, Chip, because a couple of the candidates that I had spoken to, because I'm fair, I don't want people blindsided, and I had spoken to them, well, you got to bag me with questions, and I'm like, there's going to be no bagging. I said, this is very neutral. These are issues for the city that people want to know about. So that's what it's going to be. And it will be at the Morton Middle School on Tuesday, just about a week from now, 6 days from now, actually, at 7 p.m. The doors will open at 6:30. There will be no campaign signs or literature handed out. We will not amend on anyone's First Amendment rights. You want to wear a T-shirt that says, yay for Flanagan, or yay for, Cabral, or yay for Kadima, whatever. I can't say what you can wear, and we're not going to do that. This is not, we're not going to violate your First Amendment right. But because this is being lived, we do expect for people to be civil, and there'll be no big signs so that you're blocking the cameras and hitting people over the head or anything else. We will have both Fall River Police and security present to maintain the civility of this event. And, they asked already, what do you want us to do? I said, they don't leave. You do your job. The law is the law. I'm not going to play any games with this. And the law applies to everyone equally, not just because you're so-and-so or so-and-so, you get a pass, because that's not what this is about. And you're right. It's about time that the people have a debate that they can believe in.
It's true. And what we want to have here is a, you put it in perspective. It is a debate. Politics is politics. If they want to make commercials that, are obviously political in nature, that's fine. But a debate is something where they can support their position and explain to people how they are going to do the job and answer the questions of the people. Because, the reality is, look, I know that the mayor's been on the radio saying he looks forward to it. He thinks he's got a great record, and he looks forward to defending it. And, good. That's what it's about. Let people draw their own conclusions. We see the political ads. I saw one recently with Joan Menard introducing the mayor and saying how wonderful he is, and he's doing great for Fall River, and of course she can do that. I disagree. I think that the old Castilian saying, "Tell me who you walk with, I'll tell you who you are." As a voter, as a taxpayer, nothing bothers me more than looking at one entrenched political hack supporting another. I mean, obviously, what is she going to say? She was appointed to the Diamond Board by the mayor. She left her job as a state senator at a salary of $81,000, and then got a virtually no-show position at Bristol Community College for $120,000, which boosted her pension up 33%. So she's getting a $96,000 a year pension while she remains a consultant, and her daughter got her job. So these are the things that bother taxpayers. It bothers me. And also, she's from Somerset. And many, many years ago, I had a problem with her interfering in a collective bargaining issue between the firefighters union and the city. And I voiced my opinion, and she actually then said, "Oh, I apologize. I shouldn't have got involved in collective bargaining in the city of Fall River." And realistically, you can get involved. You have a right to be involved in the politics of Fall River, but I have a right as a Fall River resident to say, when a Somerset politician supports a Fall River politician, it has absolutely no effect on my vote. As a matter of fact, when somebody who's milked the system as greatly as you have, it actually guarantees that I'm not going to vote for it.
Yeah, talk about politics always, but you made some very good points. There is a new upcoming person in Fall River, Ricky T. I don't know how you pronounce his last name. It's Cambodian. It's Tith, and I don't want to say it wrong. I think it's Teeth. But he's going to be a candidate next year for city council, and he's been seen touting the mayor everywhere. So I sent him some very serious questions on, with everything going on in the city of Fall River, why would you start, associating with a person who's involved in all these investigations until the outcome, because it could possibly taint you if the outcome came out negatively for that person. Well, he went further online. He started screaming about, "Oh, these recalls doing this, this, and this," and then I said to him, "I asked you some very serious questions as a member of the press." I said, and I would have appreciated an answer. I'm sorry if you felt this was personal. So he did send me an answer, and I promised him I would read it on the air. And it says, "I recently received questions regarding an alleged affiliation with Mayor Flanagan. These messages included unfounded accusations towards the mayor and myself. We all have the right to associate and to support any elected official of our own choosing. It is good to challenge each other in a fair, civilized, and healthy manner. It is wrong to make unfounded and unjust accusations in that process. It is this uncivilized behavior that has plunged this city into the turmoil it now suffers from. I want to run for city council because I want to be part of the American government so that I can help improve quality of life for all residents of Fall River. I want to foster trust, teamwork, and civilized progress in our great city. I want to restore our character and image as a whole, and I want to add diversity to that character. I will not stand for any less. I align with no political party. I am an issues voter, as most Americans, and especially as a concerned minority who wants to be your public servant. I am apoplectic about messages I have received from recall organizers and recall supporters stating we are being used to gain votes for the mayor. This is insulting to my intelligence and to the intelligence of my constituents. We are not puppets, and we can see what is right and what is wrong. I stand for what is right, and I will fight against what is wrong. An unfounded accusation displays ill will and ill character and is not good or healthy for our city. I ask all citizens of Fall River to stand with me in our fight for what is right. Let us together put petty ways behind us. Let us together strengthen the resolving character of Fall River. We do not answer to one citizen, we answer to all the citizens. Together, we will restore faith in each other, and we will give back democracy to all citizens of Fall River. Let's work together to improve the quality of lives for our community." I thought it was very interesting that that was his answer to many questions, but in no way did I ask him any questions which would have impugned him or made him feel as though we're attacking him because of any association with the mayor or anyone else. We asked very serious questions.
Sounded like a campaign, more like a campaign speech than an answer to a question.
Exactly.
To me. But, you know, it's unfortunate that he thinks that people questioning government is what has dragged this city down. It's unfortunate that he wants to run for city council and he doesn't realize that the deficit was created by lack of preparation for the loss of the SAFER grant, for the loss of the police grant, for the loss of the host fees, that pay raises were given without regard for the impact on the budget. It's troubling that he's running for city council with so little knowledge of what caused the problems in the city. I guess he feels that, you know, they love to use the word negative. You know, anything that is not in agreement with their position is negative and thereby bad. Well, you know, I hate to tell you this, but somebody better do a little bit of studying. And the best way to arrive at answers to a question is called the Hegelian method. It's from a historian called Hegel, who created a theory called the dialectic theory. And it is, you have a thesis, which is your opinion right now. Then someone comes forward with an antithesis, which is the opposing view. And somewhere, after very, very long discussion and sometimes very lively discussion, we come up with a synthesis. And that's the best way to move things forward. You know, these people who believe that government is about everybody agreeing and never disagreeing had better remember, especially Chuck Gregory, because that's what happens. When everybody agrees, you march together doing the goose step. You do become the Nazis, because that's what happens. You become a bunch of robots marching in a line. You know, debate and disagreement is an integral part of our government. It's what created our nation. Some of the most contentious debates that ever took place in the Continental Congress. The fact is, it is healthy to disagree. So, Mr., and I won't mispronounce your name, you had better learn a little bit about why the city got in this position if you want my vote.
Well, Chip, you know, we're always fair here in responses. We give everyone a chance. So I agree. And, you know, I would like to meet personally with Ricky and, you know, find out exactly where he stands on issues. You have a lot of connections in the Cambodian community. I know a couple of, I know at least one mayoral candidate, which has a very detailed connection. So these things are going on. But we're already at the end of our show. Can you believe this? I mean, we go so fast, and you know, I really don't know what we can do anymore. But remember, next Tuesday, December 9th, 7 p.m., Morton Middle School is the People's Debate. Please send your questions to debate@scstonline.com, and maybe your question will be asked at the debate. It's always great to hear you guys.
Yes, make sure you go to the debate, and we will see you on Friday, and send in your questions, and by all means, listen to everybody's opinion. You don't have to agree, but let's make this the greatest debate ever given in this city.